Hi everyone, I'm Nurse Blake and welcome back to another episode of Notable Nurses, where we explore extraordinary stories from the world of healthcare while learning more about the nurses behind them. Before we get into it, I would like to thank Verizon for sponsoring this series as part of their commitment to nurses. With Verizon, nurses and their families can now get Verizon Unlimited starting at just $30 per line, just for being a nurse. Check out the link in the description for all the details. Now back to the show. Today's special guest nurse started out working in EVS. I can't wait for you to hear her story. Let's check it out.
I started my journey at Bay State 10 years ago in environmental, the department for cleaning of the hospital. My main purpose for becoming a nurse was to help people, and I knew that being a custodian and working in environmental services got me a step closer. I cleaned operating rooms, worked my way through nursing school, worked my way through NP school, and I'm back to working at the place that I started, and coincidentally, kind of in the same department. Now that I'm a nurse practitioner, my dream has come true.
Let's welcome Nurse Jaines to the show.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about what it was like working in EVS?
Yeah, so I would come in at 6 and clean the operating rooms. And if I was lucky, then some of the surgeries would go a little bit longer. And I'd be able to stand at the window and see what was happening. Again, like full circle, because now I work in surgery as a nurse practitioner.
Our stories are kind of similar that you worked in surgery, because after I got experience as a patient transporter, I actually worked as a surgical assistant in the OR. I was also cleaning the rooms, and it was really cool being able to watch procedures. Did you really enjoy that experience working in the hospital setting while going to nursing school?
Yeah, I definitely did, because again, like maybe I wasn't working directly with patients all the time, but I could observe interactions, and then that helped me later on. When I applied for the job, I applied for everything: patient transport, dietary, and I got custodian, so that's what I did.
Can you tell me a little bit about your transition into your role now as a nurse practitioner?
In 2014, I became an RN.
We graduated the same year.
Yay!
Class of 2014.
Yay! And then, so I worked as a custodian right up until I got my first nursing job. And I worked in a jail, coincidentally, first. I worked in corrections and then substance abuse. I then also transitioned to inpatient nursing on a medical floor and then a heart failure floor. In 2020, I graduated from NP school and got my first job in trauma, and that's what I do today.
Have you learned anything in EVS that you kind of use in your practice now?
Environmental services taught me like humility. I kind of understand better the entire team, having been in environmental and then like working my way up. As a provider, I get it if, let's say, something's not done. I've been the nurse on the other side who has the 6 patients and's been running around.
A hospital can't run with just nurses. A hospital can't run with just doctors. No, it takes every discipline, like you said, and it's all about caring and loving and supporting each other. I know, with COVID and the pandemic, supporting other team members and your coworkers is now more important. How has it been working during the pandemic?
I wouldn't have made it without my coworkers because, no one knows what that's like except the people who have been through it. In this time, we saw how incredible the people who work in healthcare are, because we all banded together against this enemy that was COVID to really care for patients as well as caring for ourselves. It was refreshing to see.
So I pulled a few pictures from your social media channels, and what's gonna happen is they're each gonna pop up, and if you could tell us a little description about it, and if you had to give that picture a hashtag, what would that hashtag be?
Okay. So these are the 3 badges that show like my progression from environmental services to nurse practitioner. I just thought it would be cool if I got a job at my hospital, Bay State, to post all 3 badges just to say like I did it. Hashtag progress.
That's incredible. I'm so happy you kept your badges. I know this picture went viral, and I was so happy when I saw it.
I'm part of the National Association for Hispanic Nurses that supports the Hispanic community and motivates young Hispanic nurses to continue on their journey. I am Puerto Rican, if you can't tell. And the hashtag for this would be me and my work mom.
Aw, I love that, and I'm so happy you're a part of this organization.
So this picture here was my actual graduation day. I didn't get to have like a formal graduation because of COVID, but I had a little photo shoot. Hashtag graduating during a pandemic.
Thank you so much for letting us go through your social media pictures. If anyone wants to follow you, where can they follow you at?
So my Instagram, which is j.m.a_DNP.
I'm so excited to introduce today's special guest. You'll recognize him from his roles in some of the most iconic sitcoms of all time, and he currently plays Dr. A.J. Austin on The Resident. Welcome to the show, Malcolm Jamal Warner. Hey, Malcolm.
Hey, Nurse Blake, how you doing?
Good, thanks so much for joining us.
No worries, this is fun. Well, Nurse Jaines, how are you?
I'm doing well, how are you?
I'm doing well. I love this whole notable nurses vibe. So I want to start off by saying thank you for the work that you're doing. Sometimes there are times where I may have a day and working on something in character, and sometimes it's hard not to take that home. Do you have any kind of rituals or anything that where you can not bring it home?
So I tell myself that when I go to the time clock and I clock out, then whatever issues I had at work, they stay in that time clock. And then I just clock back in, and then I could put that baggage back on. And then like faith, like I believe in God, so I pray. And then I do things, girls' night, have a nice cup of wine. Sometimes eat a really bad meal. That really helps after a really hard day. Like eating like burgers and fries and a shake. Yeah, but those
all at one time?
Yes. Yep, I'm gonna eat my sorrows. I'm gonna eat my feelings. But I think the time clock thing really, really helps me.
As a nurse practitioner, then you don't necessarily have to like always be on call. Like you always hear like doctors, they leave, but they gotta keep their pager on because they're always on call, and you never know what's gonna happen.
Nope, it's one of the main reasons why I'm a nurse practitioner and not like a doctor and not a surgeon. When I clock out, it's over. That's it.
That's so awesome to hear. I'm so glad to hear that. But I'm curious, are there glass ceilings in the medical field? Have are you aware of instances that there's gender discrimination and still racial discrimination that goes on in the medical field?
Yes, of course. I mean, racism, sexism, those are realities outside of the medical field. But it takes people like my surgeons, the two female surgeons, to have the courage to fight against those things that give space for a woman like me to be able to be in surgery. Like I myself have experienced racism and things like that. But I use all of that as kind of like if I have to take it so that another person like me can get there, then that's just going to be what it is. The color of my skin and the fact that I'm a female doesn't bother me. And if it bothers you, that's your problem.
I love it.
Great question.
I think, Nurse Blake, oh no, I have one more thing. I do have one more thing. So I'm curious, is there anything that you've seen on The Resident that has just been like so blatantly wrong, or anything that you could suggest that we could do that could be more accurate?
The monitors having the right rhythm.
Yes.
It just drives me bonkers when you're watching a show and they have the wrong rhythm.
Shocking asystole. What is that? There ain't nothing to shock. It's so funny. Whenever like healthcare workers like have to watch a show and really want to enjoy it, we just have to take off like our healthcare hat and just like enjoy a show and not pick on the little things. Well, thank you so much, Malcolm. It was so awesome meeting you, and thank you for being on the show.
You got it. Thanks for having me.
He is so amazing. I'm so happy he was here. But as we come to a close, I just want to ask you, what is your next step in your nursing journey?
I have no clue. No clue.
And I think that's what's so great about healthcare and nursing. There are so many different opportunities. I just go day by day and follow my passion, and it's kind of led me during, to different routes I never would have ever expected.
I feel like the options with nursing are limitless. So I don't know. As long as I'm caring for patients, then I'm happy.
If anyone out there has a dream that they are maybe skeptical about or nervous to start, what would you tell them?
Be kind to yourself and have patience. Because for me, it was a 10-year journey, and I think the journey is continuing. So it took 10 years to visually see a huge change, but that journey is continuing. So believe in yourself, you're worth achieving your dream, and be patient because your time is gonna come.
Thank you so much for coming on. It was so nice to meet you and hear your story.
Thank you for having me. This entire experience was incredible.
That's it for today's episode. I really want to thank Nurse Jaines and Malcolm Jamal Warner for joining me, and I'd also like to thank Verizon for sponsoring this series. Please check out the link in the description to find out more about Verizon's commitment to nurses and their families, with unlimited phone plans starting at just $30 per line. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know what you think in the comments. I'm Nurse Blake, and this has been Notable Nurses.